Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Reborn as Gohan in future timeline. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 211. Awesome E. Many people watching the battle swallowed their saliva, shocked by the scene in front of them. What made Goku and the others even more numb was that Gohan completely crushed Cooler in his beast form and even went one step further. Visible to the naked eye, there was an absolute gap in their strength. Gohan grabbed Cooler's ankle with one hand and pulled him up like a carrot. The other hand had already condensed a shining silver ki blast, which hit Cooler's face. "Tell me, are you convinced?" Gohan shouted. The corner of Cooler's mouth twitched, as if he was about to say something in dissatisfaction, but Gohan's ki blast would have smashed him down. "I don't accept it," Cooler said with a frown, staring at the sparkling ki blast. "You're pretty tough." Gohan sneered and removed the ki blast from his hand. When Cooler thought Gohan would let him go, he didn't expect Gohan to grab his ankles with both hands, lift him up, and smash him to the ground with a bang, 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 bang. "Aha, damn it, bastard Gohan, let me go," Cooler screamed. Gohan stopped moving, and Cooler's head had swollen. "Damn it, you bastard." Cooler hunched over, his whole body shaking with anger. The plot was different from what he imagined. In his dream, the one who was beaten into a pig's head should be Gohan. Unexpectedly, there was a role reversal. It was him who was beaten into a pig's head. Ah! Cooler roared loudly, his eyes red, the muscles on his body bulging high, the purple-black ki surging, and the injuries on his body healing quickly. It has to be said that his defensive ability and self-healing ability are indeed outstanding. His right arm suddenly expanded, becoming 3 times larger than before, and he struck Gohan with a straight punch. The fist broke through the air, and the air exploded with overwhelming force. Boom! Gohan raised his hand and pressed it on Cooler's fist, and Cooler's fist could no longer move forward. Cooler gritted his teeth, his expression distorted. Gohan said, "Okay, you are no match for me. Go back and practice some more. Remember, you are not the only one making progress. I am also working hard. I look forward to your next challenge." After saying that, Gohan took back his palm. Cooler was silent. But at the same time, he felt depressed to death. He spent a lot of effort and used the Namekian Dragon Balls to make a wish to create a hyperbolic time chamber and practiced hard in it for more than 10 years, thinking that he could defeat Gohan. But the ideal is beautiful, while the reality is so cruel. Gohan actually defeated him so easily. Damn it, it seems he still hasn't practiced enough. Are there any other transformations above the black form? Cooler looked at Gohan, thinking in his mind. No, that's not right. The transformation of the same form can also have a huge difference in power. Just like the current Gohan, it is obvious that he is still in the form he showed during the Tournament of Power. However, his power has increased countless times. Has he developed the transformation of this form to the extreme? Let's go. Gohan said, returning to normal, turning around, and walking toward the crowd. Cooler looked at Gohan's back with complicated eyes and gave up the idea of a sneak attack. He, Cooler, wants to win it back in an upright manner. Cooler stood there in silence for a long time, then he rose into the sky and left the earth. "Brother Gohan, you were so awesome," Trunks said with his eyes shining, as if he were a child in admiration. "Ha, you have to work harder, Trunks." Gohan smiled and patted Trunks on the shoulder. "Where's your sword?" Gohan didn't see the sword that never left Trunks' back. Trunks scratched his head sheepishly, "It's broken." "It's okay, just get a new one, right, Lord Beerus?" Gohan turned his head and grinned at Beerus. "Hey! Whis, give that kid a sword." Beerus crossed his chest with his hands and said angrily. "Oh ho ho, okay, Lord Beerus." Whis smiled, and with a wave of his hand, Trunks had a new long sword on his back. Trunks took off his sword in surprise and slashed it a few times. Good sword, thank you, Mr. Whis, thank you, Lord Beerus. You're welcome, Whis said. Humph. Beerus rolled his eyes. Next to them, Meruz opened his mouth but stopped talking. Gohan glanced at him and said, Meruz, the Galactic Patrol headquarters should have been rebuilt by Shenron, and your colleague should have been resurrected. Ah, okay, then I will go back to the headquarters first and then find the Galaxy King. Well, 2 days later, we will meet at the patrol headquarters. Gohan said with a smile. Okay. After hearing Gohan's words, Meruz breathed a sigh of relief and said goodbye repeatedly. At this time, Whis smiled and said, Mr. Meruz, do you mind if we go together? Ha! Meruz was stunned for a moment, with a puzzled expression. Whis smiled and said, aren't you going back to the patrol headquarters? It's a long way. We're also going the same way, right? Sister Vados? Vados covered her mouth and chuckled, hee, yes, I also want to see the patrol HQ in your universe. Okay, thank you, Meruz said. Whis, let's go then. Meruz nodded, yes. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. A ray of light rose into the sky. Whis, Vados, Beerus, and Meruz left together. To be honest, Beerus wanted to stay and have a big meal. But before he had time to express what he wanted, he was forcibly taken away by Whis. Gohan looked up and watched the light disappear, and smiled knowingly. Whis and Vados might want to communicate with Meruz alone, Gohan thought in his mind. At this time, Goku was a little confused and said, Gohan, why do we need 2 days to go to the HQ? I want to go now. Gohan. Gohan said, don't be so anxious, Dad, we are not rushing to work overtime. Aren't we all hungry? Gohan's words were like a fuse, instantly igniting the stomachs of several people. Gulu. The stomachs of several Scions screamed. After several rounds of fighting, they were actually starving. It's just that they didn't think about it until now. Now when Gohan said this, Goku's stomach suddenly started to growl. I have no strength anymore. Goku suddenly changed from an energetic state to a depressed one. Me too. Goten immediately made the same expression. In fact, almost all of them had eaten senza beans, so logically they shouldn't feel hungry. Because the senza beans themselves can not only heal but also have the effect of feeling full. But for the Scions, their stomachs seem to be black holes that can never be filled. Food is always the thing they desire most besides strength. Chapter 212. Let's all hold a feast at my house, Trunks suggested. Vegeta had no objection. Anyway, he has servants, maids, and professional chefs at home. Okay. No one would be polite to him at this time. Then I'll pick up Chi-Chi, Goku said, surprising everyone. This guy Goku has made some progress. Then I'll pick up Marin and the others too, Krillin also agreed. Goku and Krillin left one after another. Trunks said to Yamcha, Uncle Yamcha, you should also go and pick up Grandpa Rashi and the others. Okay, Yamcha laughed and left. Number 16, are you coming? Trunks shouted. I won't go, I don't need to eat, Android 16 said, turning and leaving. Piccolo at least still needs to drink water. And what does he, a purely mechanical robot, eat? Ki? Electricity? Well. Sebansuri is also a purely mechanically modified robot, but he has nowhere to go, and he just listens to Gohan. Gohan asked him to follow Piccolo, so he and Piccolo have been inseparable these years. Therefore, he had no intention of leaving on his own, but followed everyone to Capsule Corp. Capsule Corp, Trunks' house. Everyone was chatting while waiting for the meal. Dad, did anything interesting happen while you were away? Pan pestered Gohan, asking him to tell her what he had seen recently. Of course there is. Dad went to Earth in another universe and also met the Scions from that universe. At this point, Gohan remembered that he had promised Caulifla and the others to take them with him to the 7th universe to play. But there was no way now. After all, he was in such a hurry and had to rush back. So he forgot about the seance there. It can only be next time. Thinking of Kale, who was as taciturn as Broly, Gohan turned to look at Broly. Broly sensed Gohan's gaze, looked over, and blinked. Gohan secretly thought that he couldn't speak with his eyes, so he simply waved and asked Broly to come over. Seeing Gohan waving, Broly came over with a puzzled look on his face and sat next to Gohan. Pan stretched out her arm and compared it with Broly's arm. Knowing that her father had something to say to Broly, she didn't interrupt. Broly sat down without saying a word, just looking at Gohan in a daze. Gohan knew his character and didn't care. He lowered his voice and smiled. Broly, how about I find you a girlfriend? Huh? Broly's body trembled slightly, feeling embarrassed. What? There were just question marks on Broly's head. Gohan said, hey, remember the female scion named Kale in the 6th universe? I don't remember. Broly shook his head. Gohan was almost defeated by him. In Universe 6, there were only 2 female scions in the Tournament of Power. Doesn't he remember? Gohan helplessly gestured. That's the scion who wears red clothes, talks very little, has black hair, and can go berserk like you. Oh, I remember. Broly nodded. Gohan said, what do you think of her? How about what? Broly blinked again. Do you think she is pretty? Broly blinked again. I don't know. Damn, talking to you is so tiring. Gohan complained, and then said, I mean, do you want her to be your girlfriend? She's so little. Is this important? Does Broly want to find a giantess who is as tall as him? Gohan rolled his eyes. It doesn't matter. I think you two are quite suitable and have the same personalities. It's a match made in heaven. Broly blinked again. Gohan asked, is there any problem? No. Broly shook his head. In fact, he didn't even understand what Gohan meant. What is the problem? Is it my problem or that woman's? Gohan waved his hand. Okay, just go. Oh. Broly stood up and left. Looking at his back, Gohan laughed. Hee hee, if Broly and Kale really united, their children would probably be very interesting. Dad, Broly's hands are so big, bigger than yours, Pan said after seeing Broly leave. Gohan smiled and said, yes, but Dad is smarter than him. Hee hee, of course, Dad is the smartest and most powerful person. Pan made a face. On the other side, Goten pestered Sun Tzu to practice the fusion technique. Goten was willing to give his most beloved toys and all his savings. Sun Tzu had agreed before, so he could no longer refuse. The 2 little guys were there in a strange fusion pose. They aroused the curiosity of many people. Videl, Lily, and Bulma, several women, gathered together, talking about some interesting things, and burst into laughter from time to time, watching Goten and Sun Tzu. Vegeta was sitting alone under a tree, with the words, keep strangers away written on his face, and no one really bothered him. Piccolo sat cross-legged on the grass with his eyes closed, meditating and practicing spiritual power. Sebansuri looked like a stone sculpture, sitting motionless in the corner. Tien and Kaiatsu sat together, watching Goten and Sun Tzu practice their fusion dance, occasionally giving some pointers. At this time, Goku finally came after picking up Chi-Chi. Krillin arrived soon after with his wife and daughter. Yamcha, Master Roshi, Puar, and Oolong came a little later. After a while, the food was served. Trunks raised his hand and waved. Okay, let's eat, ha ha ha. Everyone sat at the table laughing. They enjoyed this rare time together. The banquet lasted until midnight, and everyone dispersed and went back to their homes. Before leaving, Trunks gave Paragus a capsule. The capsule contained a portable gravity training room. This is what Paragus was chatting with Trunks about just now. Paragus, who has regained his youth, wants to continue practicing and improve his strength. For Paragus at this stage, the gravity training room should be his best choice. Therefore, he specifically asked Trunks for such a capsule. Give money? Of course, it is impossible to give money. In Paragus words, that's what your grandfather, King Vegeta, owes him. What is this? It's just a drop in the bucket. 2 days pass like this. Until the third day, Gohan, Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, Broly, Piccolo, and Suri came to the Galactic Patrol headquarters. Chapter 213. Meruz did not expect that Gohan would come as promised and bring so many people with him. With the addition of these monsters, the escaped prisoners were nothing more than weaklings. And the Galactic Patrol had not been idle these past 2 days. Meruz brought back the Galaxy King. Patrol officers were also sorting out the prisoners' traces and beginning to follow them. Interestingly, the patrols discovered that more than a week had passed since the escape, but the prisoners had not changed their clothes at all and were still wearing the standard prison uniforms of the Galactic Prison. Could it be that they think this outfit looks good? Or are they used to wearing them and can't bear to change them? It's really puzzling. Regarding the matter of Goku and others temporarily joining the Galactic Patrol, Meruz had already reported to the Galaxy King. The Galaxy King happily agreed. Moreover, they were given a simple inauguration ceremony. To put it simply, the Galaxy King said a lot of passionate words, and then gave Gohan and the others the uniforms of the Galactic Patrol. But because Gohan and the others felt that the clothes were too ugly, they instead drew a Galactic Patrol logo on the right chest of their existing clothes. After the inauguration ceremony, Gohan had the opportunity to ask Meruz, where are Lord Beerus and the others? Oh, they stopped by the day before yesterday and left after a while, Meruz smiled as usual. Is this really the case? Gohan glanced at him suspiciously, not quite believing what he said, but he had no intention of continuing to ask further questions. Gohan just asked casually. Nowadays, eradicating the Heater family and capturing the escaped prisoners are the top priorities. Therefore, he turned to Meruz, let's talk about the situation of the escaped prisoners first. Yeah. Meruz nodded, picked up a remote control, and pressed it twice. Immediately afterward, a blue projection screen appeared in front of everyone. The information on the escaped prisoners was listed on the screen. Pictures, names, races, combat prowess, special skills, social relationships, current approximate location, etc. The information was very comprehensive. Now these extremely vicious guys have all joined the Heater family, led by Elec. Regarding the Heater, please read here. Information about the Heater family was projected on the screen. Elec. Gas. Maki. Oil. The 4 Heater. But now, even the Galactic Patrol doesn't know that Elec is the only one left among the 4 Heater family members. Even Elec himself didn't know that he had become the only member of the Heater family. Meruz continued, Elec is the eldest of the Heater family, the leader of the Heater family. The second is Oil, the third is the only female among them, Maki, and as for the youngest among them, Gas, you have already seen him. Piccolo couldn't help but ask, how do these people compare in strength to Gas? If their strength is similar to Gas's, then this mission will not be easy. To put it harshly, many people might be killed. Among these many people, he himself was included. Meruz explained, Gas is a special case. He became the #1 warrior in the universe with the help of Cerealian's Dragon Balls. As for the other 3, their combat abilities are mediocre, so you don't have to worry too much. But of course, we do not rule out the worst possibility, that they may gather the Dragon Balls again, fulfill their second wish, have a new strong figure appear, or resurrect Gas. Except for Gohan, everyone became worried. Meruz continued, according to the latest reports, Elec is currently guarding the family base. As for Oil and Maki, they should still be on Planet Cereal. Their mission is to collect the Dragon Balls of Planet Cereal. Speaking of Planet Cereal, you'd better get to know this person, Granola, the only surviving Cerealian from Planet Cereal, a race with a mutated strengthened right eye. He said this as Granola's information appeared on the screen. Looking at the screen, Trunks said, I know this guy. He once came to Earth to seek revenge on us Scions, saying that his race was exterminated by the Scions. I defeated him at that time and then drove him away, but he should also know that the driving force behind the death of the Cerealian race is the Heater family, because the Heater family installed a bug on his glasses-shaped robot. Meru said, if Granola already knew the truth back then he and the Heater family must have fallen out. Now that Mackie and Oil are both on Planet Cereal, what is happening on Planet Cereal now is something we, the Galactic Patrol, don't know about yet. Gohan almost dozed off after hearing this. Are things that complicated? Just kill all the Heater family and directly solve the root of the problem. Quick and easy. He said, Meruz, leave the Heater family to me. You can compile and distribute the information on the escaped prisoners to them. Okay. Meruz nodded. Unexpectedly, Gohan would divide the matter with just one sentence. He also wanted to go into more detail, and then make a summary, and then divide the work. Give me the coordinates of the Heater family base and Planet Cereal, Gohan said. Jocko. Meruz waved to Jocko, who was fishing. Jocko ran over. What's wrong? Officer Meruz? Jocko asked. Meruz said, give Mr. Gohan the coordinates of the Heater family base and the coordinates of Planet Cereal. Jocko looked at Gohan and said, Son Gohan, do you want me to go with you? Just give me the address. Gohan was too lazy to say another word to him. This guy is always annoying. Gohan has never had a good impression of him. There's everything you want in there, Jocko said with his hands on his hips. Gohan took the tablet and flipped through it. Sure enough, as Jocko said, in addition to the two coordinates he wanted, there was also information about the Heater family and the secrets of Planet Cereal. He even thoughtfully downloaded a few minigames? Thanks. Gohan threw the tablet into the dimensional space and patted Jocko's shoulder. But he accidentally used too much force and patted Jocko until he screamed. Chapter 214. Afterward, Goku, Vegeta, Broly, and others also received a tablet each. At the same time, each person was paired with a Galactic Patrol officer to assist in the work. Meruz asked Gohan again, Mr. Gohan, do you really not need Jocko's assistance? No need, I can do it alone, Gohan said. He didn't want to bring along a drag. Okay. Meruz couldn't do anything about it. Before leaving, Gohan thought for a while and asked Trunks if he had brought a Dragon Ball radar. Trunks shook his head and said he didn't have one. There was no other way, so Gohan had no choice but to go back to Earth first and ask Bulma for it. Fortunately for him now, it doesn't take much time to travel. At most, he can use the instant transmission technique a few times, which won't be a problem at all. After getting the Dragon Ball radar from Bulma, Gohan carefully studied the coordinates of the Heater family base, and then his figure flashed and teleported into the vast space. Heater family base. Elec leaned back on the soft chair, holding a tall red wine glass in his hand. He swirled the glass, the red wine swirling within. He stared at the wine glass, then took a small sip. His main concern was comfort. At this moment, an alien rolled and crawled into the meeting hall. Lord Elec. Elec glanced at him displeased and said in a bad tone, Didn't I tell you? Knock on the door and then come in? This time I will cripple one of your hands as a small punishment, but next time you will be dead. As he spoke, he raised his hand and pointed a finger, and a key ray directly blasted one of the alien's arms into powder. Ah yes, sir. The intense pain made the man tremble all over, but he did not dare to scream. Beads of sweat rolled down his forehead as he ran out again, crawling. Tuck. There was a knock on the door. Elec straightened his body and said, Come in. The alien, who had just become one-armed a few seconds ago, walked into the meeting hall with a pale face and fearful eyes. What's the matter? Elec glanced at him. The alien said with a trembling voice. Reporting to the Lord, things are not going well with Lord Zuno. Oh? He doesn't want to join our Heater family, does he? Yes, he said he would not leave his current place or join our family. He is very stubborn. This is difficult to handle. Zuno claims to know everything in the world and is the only omniscient person in the universe. With his joining, our family will definitely be even more powerful and reach a higher level. After all, information is the most valuable thing in the world. How can he be so ungrateful? By the way, have you asked him if the future king of the universe is me, Elec? The alien's body trembled again. This. But it doesn't matter. Elec frowned. The alien said, he said no. He said that the king of the universe in this world has existed since the birth of the universe and will not change in the future. Ha, I think he is just bluffing. Elec sneered. Gas has become the number one in the universe. It is a certainty that I will become the king of the universe. Zuno doesn't understand at all. It's really ridiculous. He claims to know everything. But this is so disappointing. Since he is unwilling to join me, let him disappear completely. Elec waved his hand impatiently. Yes, sir. The one-armed alien knelt down and kowtowed, then carefully retreated out of the door, and then ran as if he was running away. He didn't scream like a pig until he was out of the gate of the Heater family base. From then on, he became a one-armed man. His poor hand was gone. It hurts so much. Woo. The alien cried bitterly. Damn, you're so noisy. An impatient voice sounded near him. Who? The man wanted to turn his head to see who it was. But his head exploded at that moment, red and white matter flying everywhere, spraying all over the ground. Gohan waved his hand, and the man instantly turned into powder and disappeared. Gohan raised his head and glanced at the building in front of him, secretly thinking that Elec was quite good at being the bad guy. He actually transformed the entire small planet into a family base. It's a bit interesting, but it will be mine soon. Gohan stepped into the door of the Heater family's base. A mercenary with yellow skin walked towards him. The guy glanced at Gohan and asked, "Who are you? Are you here to post a bounty mission? Also, what happened outside just now? I seem to hear someone screaming. Did you hear wrong? There is no one outside. Are you from the Heater family?" Gohan asked. Of course, is something wrong? The yellow-faced mercenary looked at him doubtfully. No, nothing is wrong. Gohan fired a key projectile, and another person was blown to ashes. The explosion attracted the attention of more mercenaries and criminals who swarmed around and surrounded Gohan. By visual inspection, there were 40 or 50 people. Someone shouted loudly. How dare you come here to cause trouble? You really don't know the heights of the world. Brothers, capture him alive, tie him up, and present him to Lord Elec. There will definitely be a heavy reward. Come on, come on. Some people showed their weapons, and some people rolled up their sleeves and pushed toward Gohan. Logically speaking, when surrounded by so many people, the one who was being surrounded should panic and beg for mercy. But they found that Gohan actually laughed. Are you sick? Are you still laughing? Kneel down. Someone yelled, and his arrogance exploded as he punched Gohan. Seeing that someone had taken action first, the mercenaries and criminals, worried about being robbed of their credit, rushed to take action, vowing to be the first to take down this lunatic with a playful smile. That's fine. I'm too lazy to kill them one by one. Gohan sneered, raised his hand, and snapped his fingers. Buzz. A wave of ki spread out in circles. Wherever it passed, the mercenaries and criminals fell down like wheat, turning into powder and dissipating in the wind. More than 50 people disappeared in an instant. There were still a few people on their way in the distance. When they saw the scene, their courage almost burst with fear, and they ran away in the opposite direction. Gohan raised his hand and pointed a finger. A beam of light pierced the sky, and several people fell down with their hearts pierced. Walking forward, killing everyone he saw, and then destroying the corpses and eliminating all traces of them. The killing was so fast that there was no movement, not even a body left behind. So much so that Elec, who was lying on the sofa in the room and tasting wine, didn't even know that disaster had come to meet him. Elec, get over here. Gohan shouted loudly. Elec, who heard the noise, rushed out without any fear. He stared at Gohan and said angrily, "What a courageous dog! Were you the one calling me just now?" After being instilled with power by gas, Elec's strength is now different from what it used to be. If calculated in terms of combat power, it has exceeded the 100 million mark, approaching Frieza back then. With such strength, he was naturally full of confidence and arrogance. And his temper became more and more violent as his strength increased day by day. Chapter 215. Elec looked at Gohan. Gohan was also looking at Elec. In each other's eyes, they both saw an imminent death. After seeing the furry tail behind Gohan, Elec looked a little shocked. Then he sneered and said, "Oh, it turns out it's not a dog, it's a wild monkey." Gohan also sneered repeatedly, "Pathetic. What did you say?" Elec was furious. Now that his combat power exceeds 100 million, many people are just ants in his eyes, and Gohan is no exception. At most, Gohan was just a taller ant. What surprised him was that there were so many Scion survivors. Where is he from? What does he want? Gohan said. What pathetic power. There is no use in keeping you, I might as well kill you. Elec was shaking with rage. He was too lazy to talk nonsense and decided to take down Gohan first. Originally, he wanted to call a few helpers, but he found, strangely, that apart from the two of them, there was no one else nearby. Damn it, where did all those useless subordinates go? Elec cursed, his eyes flashing with cold light. He stepped hard on the ground, blasting out a pit, his leg muscles exerting force as he quickly rushed towards Gohan. Closer, closer. Seeing Gohan standing there, seemingly doing nothing to evade, Elec thought that Gohan was scared to death. In his mind, he imagined the pitiful appearance of Gohan being punched through. His fist hit Gohan's chest. Crack! The sound of bone cracking echoed. Elec sneered. "Ah, this guy's bones are really brittle, as expected, they were broken by my punch." That sound of breaking bone was quite satisfying. But why does it feel like something's wrong with my hand? Also, why is there no pain in this monkey's eyes? Instead, it seems like he is looking at a poor creature? A question mark appeared above Elec's head, and his eyes moved down from Gohan's face to his own hand, the one that had hit Gohan's chest. Then, a shrill scream broke out. Aha! What was broken turned out to be his own hand. His hand, the middle of the forearm, was folded at a 90-degree angle, hanging down limply. Because he was so excited just now, his brain received signals half a beat slower, and he didn't feel any pain. Now that his eyes confirmed it was his own hand that was broken, severe pain swept through his body. Elec retracted his arms, arched his body like a shrimp, half-crouched on the ground, and screamed in agony. He attacked and actually broke his own hand. This was unacceptable to him. Gohan stretched out his hand toward him, his fingers spread wide, and his voice was like the cold wind blowing from hell. "Okay, I let you take one shot. Now you can go to hell to accompany your brother, Gas." What? Go to hell to accompany Gas? Elec, who was enduring severe pain, raised his head, only to hear Gohan open his mouth and spit out two words, "Destruction." The words fell. Elec felt something was wrong. His body was actually melting and dissipating. Elec was instantly frightened. But Gohan's words made him even more desperate. "I was wrong. You won't be going to hell. Even the souls of those who are destroyed will be completely erased." After Gohan finished speaking, Elec's body completely disappeared. Gohan clapped his hands and felt a little emotional. No matter how clever he was, everything seemed so pale and powerless in the face of absolute power. The Heater family tried every possible means, but in the end, they just ended up disappearing completely. How pathetic! After confirming that there was no one else in the castle, Gohan directly absorbed it into his dimension. Nowadays, Gohan's strength has improved by leaps and bounds. After becoming a trainee god of destruction, he learned many godly techniques from Beerus and Whis. Collecting a small planet is no problem at all. Gohan planned to find a suitable location in space near Earth and then release it. It's pretty cool to have a small planet of your own, especially when the entire planet has been transformed into a solid castle. After collecting the planet, Gohan took out the tablet and checked the information about planet Serial. After identifying the direction, his figure flashed and disappeared again. Planet Serial. Gohan stood high in the sky, looking curiously at this strange planet. Key shields flipped down one by one, protecting small cities. The cities were inhabited by migrating Sigarians. But outside the key shields were dilapidated ruins, remnants of the destruction of the Cerealian people. Occasionally, one could still see huge footprints, scars left by the Scions on planet Serial after they turned into great apes. After a while, Gohan took out the Dragon Ball radar. After pressing the power switch, the radar automatically turned on. In just a few seconds, the Dragon Ball signal was detected. Gohan held the Dragon Ball radar and muttered to himself. It's both magical and outrageous. There are only 2 Dragon Balls on this planet, but they can make someone gain lives and become the #1 warrior in the universe. Gohan was quite curious about the planet's Serial Dragon Balls and wanted to see them. DDDD. Gohan looked at the Dragon Ball radar, determined the direction, and flew away. Soon, he dug out an orange Dragon Ball as big as a table tennis ball from the desert. He held it up to his eyes and looked at it. There were 2 stars inside. It was the 2-star Dragon Ball. Fortunately, he had the Dragon Ball radar, otherwise, the Dragon Ball buried under the desert would have been almost impossible to find. The Super Dragon Balls are as big as planets, the Dragon Balls of Namek are as big as basketballs, the Dragon Balls of Earth are bigger than an adult's fist, and the Dragon Balls of planet Serial are only as big as table tennis balls? Gohan, who has seen several sets of Dragon Balls, was not surprised, but his curiosity was inevitable. He really wanted to meet the creator of this set of Dragon Balls. Granola, this is probably his key. Gohan sensed Granola's key with just a few touches. After all, there was currently only one powerful key on this planet, Granola's, and it was not difficult to find. The information provided by the Galactic Patrol said that Oil and Mackie of the Heater family were here, but now there is only Granola's key. It seems that the Heater family members were very likely killed by Granola. With this thought in mind, Gohan locked onto Granola's key, used his instant transmission, and teleported over. At this moment, Granola was looking in the mirror and observing the Dragon Ball pattern on his forehead. Chapter 216. Whoosh! Gohan appeared behind Granola. Granola didn't even notice there was another person behind him. After all, the difference in strength between the two was too great. Gohan was also very good at concealing his key. If Gohan hadn't taken the initiative to reveal himself, it would have been difficult for Granola to detect him. But Granola was holding a mirror in his hand and observing the star on his forehead. As soon as Gohan arrived, Granola suddenly saw Gohan appear through the mirror. Why did someone appear out of thin air? If it weren't for the mirror, he wouldn't have been able to notice Gohan. It was terrifying to think what could have happened if it had been an assassination. Granola was so frightened that his hair stood on end. The mirror in his hand also exploded with a bang. Granola's reaction was quick enough. He turned around sharply and swept his leg through the air. But Gohan raised his hand and easily blocked it. The attack failed, and Granola felt his leg go slightly numb from the shock. Taking advantage of the countershock, Granola did a backflip and took a few steps back. But his eyes were fixed on Gohan's figure, and he asked loudly, "Are you a Scion?" The tail on Gohan's back was the symbol of the Scions. It was so easy to spot that it was impossible not to recognize him. Yes, Gohan nodded, not denying his identity. Granola looked at him warily and said, "What do you want?" The Cerealians were wiped out by the Scions, so Granola couldn't have any good feelings towards the Scions. But Gohan's sudden appearance made him very afraid. In addition, after his attack just now, he realized that the opponent's strength was much higher than his own. Therefore, Granola did not dare to act rashly at this time. What's more, Monaito was nearby, and he was somewhat worried that Monaito would be harmed if they fought. Gohan looked at him and asked, "Were Oil and Mackie of the Heater family killed by you?" "That's right." Were you hired by Elect to come here and meet them? Then your trip is in vain. Now you can only find them by going to hell, Granola said, still guessing the purpose of Gohan's visit. Gohan said, then you helped me, saving me the trouble of taking action myself. What does this mean? Are you hunting down Maki and Oil? Granola raised his eyebrows. Gohan nodded, pointed to the Galactic Patrol logo on his chest, and said, do you recognize this logo? Galactic Patrol. The Heater family has committed heinous crimes recently, so I am hunting down members of the Heater family. Granola was shocked as he heard the news. It seemed that a lot had happened outside during the time he was on planet Cereal. However, it was understandable. Elec was very ambitious, and since Gas had become the strongest warrior in the universe, it was natural for the Galactic Patrol to pursue him. However, the Galactic Patrolman he knew probably wouldn't be able to deal with Gas, and the Gohan in front of him didn't look like a Galactic Patrolman at all. Although the logo was true, the person didn't resemble the Galactic Patrolman he remembered. It's not like he hadn't seen the Galactic Patrol before, he had dealt with Jocko many times. Jocko didn't have the temperament or the power like Gohan. So it was really hard for Granola to connect Gohan and the Galactic Patrol. Granola said, oh? Then we have a common enemy. Although you Scions are also my enemies, for now, my hatred for the Heater family is even greater. I don't know what your Galactic Patrol plans are. How do you intend to deal with Gas and Elec? Gohan looked at him with great interest and said with a smile, deal? Gas and Elec are already dead, and Oil and Maki died at your hands, so they should be considered exterminated now. Granola was stunned. Dead? Gas became the strongest warrior in the universe, and you actually defeated him? And killed him? How is this possible? After the brief contact just now, Granola knew that Gohan had extraordinary fighting power, but he didn't really believe that Gohan could defeat Gas. He had fought with Gas and knew how terrifying Gas was. It seemed impossible for the current Gohan to defeat Gas. Gohan said, there's nothing impossible about it. In fact, they are indeed dead. By the way, why do you have a Dragon Ball tattoo on your forehead? If I'm not mistaken, the one-star ball should be with you? According to the Dragon Ball radar, the other Dragon Ball was on Granola's body, so Gohan spoke with certainty. When he heard Gohan mention the Dragon Balls, Granola became even more vigilant, thinking that Gohan was also here for the Dragon Balls. What Galactic Patrol? The purpose was just to deceive and take the Dragon Ball in his possession. What kind of good person could a Scion be? Moreover, when talking about this matter, Granola also felt bitter. It was true that the one-star Dragon Ball was on his body, literally on his body. But how could he take it out? Dig it out with his bare hands? Wouldn't that kill him? Granola thought. Thinking of this, Granola squinted his eyes, looked at Gohan, and said, yes, the one-star Dragon Ball is indeed on my body. Could it be that you want to snatch it away? That might not be so easy. Gohan was speechless. Now that he could even collect Super Dragon Balls, why would he take a fancy to this little planet Cereal 2-star Dragon Ball? He was just a little curious and had no intention of taking advantage of it. You think too much. Here you go. Gohan took out the 2-star Dragon Ball and tossed it over. Granola? Although he was confused, he still caught the Dragon Ball thrown by Gohan. But he was stunned for a moment when he saw it was the 2-star Dragon Ball. What? How did the 2-star Dragon Ball end up in your hands? You don't have to worry about that, Gohan said. As soon as he got the Dragon Ball, Granola was sure it was the real thing and not some imitation. After he swallowed a ball, it wasn't difficult for him to identify the Dragon Balls. He took a deep look at Gohan, unable to figure out what reason Gohan had to act like this. Granola held the Dragon Ball in his hand and said, thank you. What do you want? You might as well just tell me. What do I want? Gohan thought for a while. He didn't really want anything specific. He just wanted to see the dragon from planet Cereal. It would be better if he could understand the origin of the Cerealian Dragon Balls. Gohan said, Can you let me meet the Namekian who made this set of Dragon Balls? The Namekian who made the Dragon Balls? Granola was confused for a moment, then said, Monaito is the only surviving Namekian on planet Cereal now, but as far as I know, the Dragon Balls weren't created by him. What? What does that mean? The only survivor didn't make the Dragon Balls? So the creator of the Dragon Balls is dead, but the Dragon Balls haven't been petrified yet? Is there some secret behind this? Gohan couldn't help but frown, wanting to see Monaito even more. Chapter 217. Seeing Gohan asking to see Monaito, Granola really couldn't figure out what he wanted to do. Seeing that Gohan had given the 2-star Dragon Ball to him, Granola hesitated. In fact, after learning the truth about what happened years ago, his hatred had diminished by more than 80 to 90%. Elec and Frieza, the masterminds behind the scenes, were obviously even more hateful. The Scions were just tools in their hands. What's more, the Scions also received their retribution. The entire planet was destroyed, leaving only a few Scions wandering among the stars. They really deserved it. Although he hadn't completely forgiven the Scions, he didn't hate them as much as before. If he had enough strength, he would probably seek revenge against the Scions. But the fact now was that Gohan was obviously stronger than him. Granola was not a brainless person, and he couldn't afford to make the brainless decision of throwing his life away. Therefore, Gohan's words still needed to be considered carefully. Gohan was very surprised when Granola said that the planet Cereal Dragon Balls were not created by Monaito. He thought, is there such a thing? Granola nodded, yes, but I don't know the details very well. If you really want to see Monaito, I will take you to meet him. Okay, then take me there, Gohan nodded. Apart from Granola, planet Cereal had no other powerful key signatures. He didn't know what fighting power Monaito had when he was young, but he was very old now, to the point where he had difficulty moving, and his ki was weaker than that of a normal Sagarian's. Therefore, it was really difficult for Gohan to rely on his ki to find Monaito. Soon, Granola took Gohan to meet Monaito. Monaito was sitting in a chair, resting with his eyes closed. Gohan could sense that the old man's vitality had reached an extremely low level and he did not have many days left to live. Monaito's body was already very fragile, and he had been tortured by the Heater family some time ago. Now it could be said that his time was numbered. Seeing the only survivor of the Namekians from planet Cereal, Gohan couldn't help but feel emotional. He was really too old and was about to die of old age. After bringing Gohan to Monaito, Granola took the initiative to introduce him. Grandpa, there is a Scion who wants to meet you. Monaito opened his eyes, looked at Granola, and then at Gohan, who was standing behind Granola. Scion, he said, trying to open his eyes wider to see Gohan. Gohan took a step forward, then squatted down and responded, yes, I am a Scion. Grandpa, your body doesn't look good. Monaito looked at Gohan and felt that he looked familiar, and said, my child, can you get closer? Well, of course, Gohan nodded and moved his body closer to Monaito. Monaito rubbed his eyes and sighed, you look like him, you really look like him. If you change your hairstyle, you will look even more like him. Gohan didn't know what was going on and asked curiously, what are you talking about, old man? But who do I look like? Monaito nodded slightly and said, yes, your appearance is somewhat similar to a Scion I knew. His name was Bardock. Bardock? Gohan suddenly realized. It seemed that among the Scions who invaded planet Cereal, there was Bardock's team. And looking at Monaito, he didn't seem to hate Bardock. There was a story here. But Gohan didn't know the story. In his previous life, the most he read was the Moro arc, and the story after that was unclear. So much so that he didn't know anything about the Heater family, let alone the grudge between Bardock and the Cerealians. After hearing Monaito's words, Gohan said, if you are talking about Bardock, then he is my grandfather. Monaito suddenly realized, I see, no wonder you look familiar to me, kid. You and I have an old connection. Speaking of which, Bardock saved Granola's and my lives. He is our benefactor. Granola on the side? What's the situation? What's going on? His life was saved by a scion? He had never heard of this version of the past. In the past, Monaito began to tell his story. 40 years ago on planet Serial, the Scions arrived and laid waste to its city and the residents within. Desperate, the Serialians destroyed their moon, causing the great apes to revert back to normal, though the Scions were still powerful enough to wipe out the Serialians. When Bardock approached Granola and his mother inside a building, he felt mercy and decided to save them. Using his scouter, Bardock determined that they were the last two Serialians and detected another survivor in the mountains. Bardock took the two to the survivor's location, me. I sensed Bardock and attempted to attack him, only to be easily thwarted by the Scion. I calmed down when I saw the two Serialians with him. Moesley asked me for shelter, which I happily accepted. Bardock told them to stay hidden and lie low, as Frisia was on his way to planet Serial. Before he left, I asked for his name and treated his arm. Suddenly, Bardock detected someone with his scouter and discovered the Heaters in the distance. Bardock, Moesley, and I listened to the Heaters discussing their plan to scam the Sigarians and eventually usurp Frisia. Suddenly, Granola woke up and screamed when he saw Bardock, alerting the Heaters. I quickly used a Ki to knock Granola out. Bardock took my cloak to hide his face and took aim at the Heaters, pretending he had found some survivors to kill. Elec told him to get on with it, but Bardock said the Namekian had a strange power worth checking into. Elec quickly drew his gun and shot Moesley in the chest, killing her. He ordered Bardock to kill the kid and the Namekian. Bardock attacked the Heaters with an invisible blast, but Gas blocked it with a force field. Using the smoke as a distraction, Bardock made a quick getaway. I lamented that my power couldn't save Moesley, and Bardock said the Heaters would come looking for us to prevent their secret from getting out. Elec sent Gas to find and kill us. Gas overpowered Bardock. Gas soon found us, and as the two battled, Bardock noted with trepidation that Gas had not been damaged by any of his attacks. Gas resolved to finish the battle then and there, as Elec had placed his trust in him. I chimed in saying that the Scion had already done enough for us and that he should save himself. However, Bardock refused to flee, and the two continued their battle. Though he tried valiantly, Bardock was no match for Gas, even more so when Gas unleashed his true nature. Meanwhile, I quickly returned to my home and gathered the Serialian Dragon Balls. I summoned Taranbo and asked the dragon to send Bardock back to his home planet, but Bardock refused. Instead, I asked Bardock if there was another wish that could be granted for him, to which he responded that he would like to see his sons thrive. From a distance, the other Heaters noticed the glow from the dragon just as the Dragon Balls dispersed and flew away. Curious, Elec decided to check it out. Bardock fought again. Gas began to completely overpower Bardock and attempted to finish him off, creating an energy spear which he launched at the injured Scion, but I intercepted it and the spear went through my shoulder instead. Gas became furious at the constant disruptions and unleashed his true nature fully. Bardock continued to fight back harder, explaining to the confused Gas that his kind evolved every time they were pushed past their limits, and proceeded to defeat Gas with a powerful energy blast. Having watched the end of the battle, Elec approached the now exhausted and downed Bardock and shot him through the arm. The injured Scion stumbled backward and fell off the cliff and into the forest below. Maki contacted Elec, telling him that Frisia had arrived, and Elec made his leave, carrying Gas with him. Sometime later, I made my way over to Bardock, congratulating him on winning the battle. Granola's body shook slightly when he heard it. He never thought there was such a story. The one who destroyed the Serialians was a Scion, and the one who saved him was also a Scion, which made him feel very conflicted and twisted. What was even more unexpected was that the Gohan in front of him was actually the descendant of his savior. This is simply outrageous. It's too much of a coincidence. But the fact is, sometimes things are unexplainable. It was also the first time for Gohan to hear this past incident, and he couldn't help but sigh, I really didn't expect that there was such history between us. Since the old man knew my grandfather, he is also my elder. I think I can still save his body. Monaito sighed and said, I know my body very well. There is not much time left. It is already a blessing to be able to see the descendants of my benefactor before I die. Child, Bardock left something behind back then. I'll give it to you now. It can be regarded as a piece of the past. Huh? What? Gohan was confused. Moneito said to Granola, Granola, go to that drawer and take out that thing. He pointed to a cabinet in the room with a drawer. Okay, Grandpa, Granola nodded, walked over, opened the drawer, and pulled out something. He raised the object in his hand and asked, Grandpa, is this the thing? Moneito squinted his eyes and took a look, then nodded and said, yes, this is it. Gohan took a closer look. Wasn't it just a scouter? Everyone in Frisia's Legion has one. It is regarded as Legion standard equipment. It must be the scouter left behind by Bardock. Granola came back with the scouter. Granola, give this to him. Yes, Grandpa. Granola handed the scouter to Gohan. Gohan took it, turned it left and right, and inspected it up and down. Well, it's out of power and there's a crack on it. He didn't know if it could still be used after charging. This thing is of little use now, so he could just keep it as a memento. After all, this was the scouter that Bardock used back then. It can be regarded as a wonderful fate. After all, he is indeed Bardock's grandson. Chapter 218. Granola took one look and said, maybe I can fix it. Oh, please, Gohan said, handing the scouter to him. Okay. Granola took the scouter and then ordered his glasses-shaped robot, Oatmeal, to repair it. In just a few moments, Oatmeal successfully repaired the old scouter. Gohan took the scouter, put it on his ear, and then did some troubleshooting. But he didn't dare to use it to detect his own combat power or Granola's combat power. In his memory, he remembered that this old scouter would overload and explode when it detected a combat power value in the tens of thousands. DD. He tried pressing a few buttons and actually brought up some recorded audio from that time. One of them was from when Bardock fought Gas. At that time, Bardock was in a desperate situation, but then the protagonist's ancestor's key broke out, breaking through the limit on the spot and defeating Gas. His words at that time sounded quite passionate. What were you thinking about when you were fighting? In the face of a life and death battle, I won't think about anything except winning. The reason I fight is just to see if I want to beat the opponent, that's all. Whenever we Scions face a desperate situation, we break through our limits, continue to evolve, and become stronger as we fight. There was also the recording of when he made a wish to the planet's cereal dragon. If you can make the wish, make a wish for me so that my sons can grow up strong. Gohan was silent for a moment. Bardock had such a strong and admirable will. Moneito, on the side, looked at Gohan and murmured to himself, I didn't expect Bardock's will to be passed down like this. Thank you, Gohan said, putting away the scouter. After collecting his thoughts, he asked Moneito, Old man, were you the one who made the Dragon Balls here? Moneito shook his head and said, No, the great elder who made the Dragon Balls died more than 50 years ago. Gohan asked. But as far as I know, on Namek, or on our planet, as long as the life of the Dragon Ball maker ends, the Dragon Balls will petrify and lose their function. Why are the Dragon Balls on planet Cereal different? Moneito was a little surprised. He was surprised that Gohan knew about Namek, and he was also surprised that there were so many sets of Dragon Balls in the universe, with rules different from those on planet Cereal. Moneito explained, on planet Cereal, as long as the Namekians are not completely exterminated, the Dragon Balls will always exist. The implication was that as long as he did not die, these Dragon Balls would continue to exist. It seemed that the Dragon Balls of planet Cereal were indeed something else, and they did not petrify after being used, nor was there any cooling time. They could be used immediately after making a wish and then collecting them again. It was like a bug in the system. Gohan continued. Well, old man, I think your vitality is weak, like a flame that is about to go out. Why don't you make a wish to the Dragon Balls to extend your lifespan? At this suggestion, Granola, standing nearby, seemed excited, and his breathing became unsteady. But Moneito sighed. I know my own body well. I don't have much time left. What's more, we Namekians are strictly prohibited from using the Dragon Balls for selfish desires, so I won't make that wish. Besides, how can the Dragon Balls be collected so easily? Gohan felt a little speechless. Monaito was truly pedantic. He was almost at death's door, yet he said he couldn't make a wish for selfish reasons. Gohan didn't quite understand this behavior. He looked back at Granola and asked, "What about you? Don't you want to extend the old man's life?" Granola's face turned red as he replied, "I do." Gohan looked at him strangely, "Then why haven't you made the wish?" To be honest, Granola's motivation for collecting the Dragon Balls was to make a wish to extend Monaito's lifespan. After all, Monaito could be considered his only relative, and he didn't want to watch him die of old age. He had also told Monaito about this. Monaito's answer to him was that they couldn't make a wish to the Dragon Balls for selfish reasons. But Granola had decided to violate Monaito's instructions and collect the Dragon Balls to extend Monaito's life. But now another problem had arisen. He had swallowed the 1-star Dragon Ball, and now, even though Gohan had given him the 2-star Dragon Ball, he couldn't summon the dragon to make a wish. Granola's face turned red as he looked a little troubled. After a few seconds, he said to Gohan, "Please meet me outside." Gohan glanced at him doubtfully, wondering why Granola wanted to speak outside, but he nodded and said, "Okay." The two of them stepped outside the house. Once they were sure that Monaito couldn't hear their conversation, Granola spoke up, "What's your name? Can I trust you?" Granola trusted Monaito deeply. Therefore, he didn't have any doubts about the story Monaito had just told. After learning that Gohan was actually the grandson of his savior, Granola felt no hatred towards Gohan, only gratitude. But the matter now was very critical, so he asked this question. Gohan replied, "My name is Gohan. You should make your own judgment if you want to trust me." Gohan? That doesn't sound like a Saiyan name, Granola said in surprise. Gohan explained, "I am a mixed-race Saiyan and grew up on Earth, so it's not surprising that I have an Earthling name." Granola suddenly understood, "Oh, okay." Then he said, "Now that things have come to this point, I can only believe you." "What do you want?" Gohan asked, confused. Granola told him the truth. "To be honest, the Dragon Ball star on my forehead is not just a pattern. It's because I ate a Dragon Ball, and it turned into this." Gohan was stunned, remembering a familiar scene. Granola continued, "So now, even after you found the 2-star Dragon Ball for me, I can't make a wish. I can only summon the dragon by taking out the 1-star Dragon Ball from my body. Then take it out." Dig it out directly? Granola looked a little distressed. Recalling that he was resurrected by swallowing the Dragon Ball, he continued, "If I dig out the Dragon Ball, I might die, so I called you out because I want to teach you how to summon the dragon. If I really die because of this, then please summon the dragon to make a wish and help Grandpa Monaito regain his youth. Please." Gohan didn't expect that Granola had this plan. He actually wanted to trade his own life for Monaito's? Gohan couldn't help but look at Granola with admiration. This was truly a sincere and filial person. Chapter 219. Gohan was silent for a moment, his heart moved, and he said, "Maybe I can help you take out the Dragon Ball without hurting your life." Granola's eyes lit up. "Can you?" Except for crazy people and desperate individuals, no one wants to die. Hearing Gohan say this, Granola felt a glimmer of hope. Gohan nodded. "Well, just stand still." Granola listened to Gohan's instructions and stood still, motionless. Gohan raised his hand and struck Granola's body with a palm. Granola didn't understand why Gohan suddenly attacked him, but he had promised not to move, and he kept his word. Bang! As Gohan's palm connected with his body, Granola felt a strange ki enter him. Before Granola could react, the Dragon Ball flew out of his forehead and landed in Gohan's other hand. Granola was startled. That's it? Was it that simple? Did he really think he was going to die? Gohan had solved the problem so easily. He was stunned and looked at Gohan, asking curiously, "You? How did you do that?" Gohan smiled and said, it may be difficult for you, but it's very simple for me. This is a move of mine called forced spirit fission. Yes, it was the forced spirit fission technique that Gohan learned on the planet Yardrat. This move is very effective against fusion techniques and techniques that absorb other people's ki for use. This was exactly the technique Gohan used when fighting Janemba. Gohan wasn't sure whether the technique could separate the Dragon Ball just now, but after trying it, he found that it worked, and he successfully extracted the Dragon Ball with one palm. Granola couldn't help but sigh, amazing, you know so much. Thank you so much. I thought I would lose my life because of this. Gohan tossed the Dragon Ball to him and said with a smile, alright, let's summon the dragon and make the wish. Yeah, okay. Granola nodded. Indeed, the top priority now was to summon the dragon and restore Moneto's vitality. Granola placed the 2 Dragon Balls on the ground and recited the spell to summon the dragon. Takalaput, Tatrunbo. Pupilitporo. It was a strange spell, but Gohan couldn't understand a word of it anyway. Immediately afterward, the 2 Dragon Balls burst into golden light. The golden light from the Dragon Balls grew more intense, then suddenly condensed together, turning into a thick beam of light that shot into the sky. The sky darkened as the beam of light solidified and transformed into an aqua-blue dragon. This dragon was not as majestic as the one on Earth, nor as strong and tall as the dragon on Namek. Instead, it gave off a strange ki, more like a wild beast that had just awakened. Its entire body emitted aqua-blue light, its head and horns were towering, its 2 eyes glowed red, and its body writhed high in the air. Several tentacles swayed on its head. Gohan looked up and couldn't help but comment silently to himself. In his opinion, this dragon looked a bit like a catfish that had turned into a spirit. The dragon, named Taranbo, looked down at Gohan and Granola and said in a booming voice, "Warrior who has collected the Dragon Balls, tell me your wish. Within my power, I can grant any wish you desire." It's done, it's done. I actually summoned the dragon. Granola's face was full of excitement. Although he had heard many legends about the dragon, this was the first time he had gathered the Dragon Balls and summoned it himself. He couldn't help but feel a little excited. Don't get excited yet. Just make the wish, Gohan reminded him. Gohan had seen this kind of scene too many times. He had even seen Super Shenron. Okay. Granola quickly regained his composure. Then he raised his head and said to the dragon, I want Grandpa Monaito to be young again. Is this possible? The blue dragon replied, of course. It is a simple matter. Are you sure this is your wish? Granola nodded firmly. Yes. Very well. I will grant your wish. The blue dragon's huge eyes flashed red. Monaito, who was sitting in a chair inside the house, suddenly felt a strong life force pour into his body. Dead cells were rejuvenated. His once crippled body straightened. Shrunken muscles became plump again. Monaito was instantly rejuvenated. Monaito was stunned for a moment. Then he quickly stood up and ran out of the room, just in time to see the dragon disappearing. He sighed and said, Hey, Granola, you still used the Dragon Ball. Granola turned around and saw Monaito, now full of vitality and youth, and his eyes became moist. Grandpa, you look great. He ran over and took Monaito's hands. Grandfather and grandson hugged each other. This solid, long-lost sense of closeness was truly wonderful. Watching this scene, Gohan unconsciously thought of Piccolo. Well, Monaito, who had regained his youth, really did resemble Piccolo, though he wasn't as tall, and his power was quite different. After a while, both Monaito and Granola walked toward Gohan. Granola bowed to Gohan sincerely and said, Mr. Gohan, thank you so much. I will remember your kindness in my heart and will never forget it. If you ever need anything in the future, you can count on me. Whatever it is, I won't hesitate even if it costs me my life. Gohan said helplessly, well, that's not necessary. Just live a good life. It was true that the Scions had destroyed the Cerealians. But then Bardock had left them another spark of life. It was really hard to comment on what happened next. Gohan didn't have any intention of making a big deal out of it. He had simply done something out of kindness. Gohan waved his hand and said, "Alright, I'll take my leave. If anything happens in the future, you can come to Earth to find me. Goodbye, old man. Goodbye, granola." Okay, the last time I went to Earth to seek revenge, it will be different when I go there next time. Goodbye, Mr. Gohan. Granola smiled, a sparkle in his eyes. Yes. Gohan nodded, and his figure blurred and disappeared. Looking at the empty space in front of him, Monaito couldn't help but sigh. The Saiyans are such a strange race. Granola looked up at the stars. Yes, the grievances and resentments that had entangled them for more than 50 years seemed to be over. Chapter 220. With the addition of Goku, Vegeta, and others, the Galactic Patrol achieved remarkable results. It took less than a week to capture or kill all the escaped prisoners. But because of this, the entire galactic prison became empty and seemed to have become merely a decoration. The Galaxy King was overjoyed and awarded everyone hero medals and held a grand banquet. And with that, the matter was settled. Then, Gohan found a suitable place near Earth and released the Heater family's planet base. Gohan also sought out the old Supreme Kai and Supreme Kai Shin and asked them to help transform it. It didn't take long. This planet became full of life, with trees everywhere and an abundance of vitality. Living there was truly comfortable, and it felt as if it could prolong one's life. The Supreme Kai also filled the area around the planet with golden auspicious clouds. This not only prevented human satellites from observing it but also made the planet more like a divine realm, fitting for Gohan's current status as a trainee god of destruction. Of course, Gohan didn't actually live there for long stretches. Gohan began to experiment with combining several of his existing transformations. Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker. Potential Unleashed Ultimate Gohan Beast Form. God of Destruction, Destroyer Form. Like Toppo in the Tournament of Power. Each of these was a super transformation in its own right. Years ago, Gohan had mastered the Potential Unleashed Ultimate Gohan Beast Form and had even fought Beerus to a standstill. Although these were supposed to be distinct transformations, over the years, Gohan managed to maximize his proficiency with them and even began to merge them. What he aimed to do now was to integrate all these forms into one, reaching a new realm and new form. There was no doubt that this process was challenging. But Gohan enjoyed it. He could feel himself growing stronger every day. This feeling was wonderful and addictive. For this reason, Gohan often consulted Whis and Vados. Every time the two guiding angels gave their opinions, Gohan always gained new inspiration. 2 years passed like this. During these 2 years, Trunks and Lily held a wedding and gave birth to a fair and chubby son. Trunks, who had envied Gohan for who knows how many years, finally became a father. And Trunks' son was named Bruce. TN** comment if you have any other suggestions. For this reason, Beerus had some objections because the name was only one letter different from his own. How could a mere mortal have a name so similar to his? But after rounds of delicious food, Beerus said it was okay. Bruce or whatever, it didn't matter anymore. On this day, Gohan brought cauliflower and kale from the 6th universe to the 7th universe as promised. After tasting the delicacies of the 7th universe, the two female Saiyans nearly drooled on the spot. The food here was simply divine. In comparison, what they ate on planet Sadala before was like eating mud. No, probably not even as good as 7th universe mud. So much so that these two beautiful Saiyan girls didn't want to leave Earth. Gohan intended to bring Broly and Kale together. After all, Broly was a bachelor in his 50s, and it was time for him to settle down. If Broly, the caveman, were left to find someone on his own, he might be a bachelor for the rest of his life. After all, ordinary Earthlings were really not suited for Broly's style. Gohan, who wanted to see the descendants of two mutant Saiyans, was certainly eager to see them do well. At this moment, Broly and Kale were sitting together, not saying a word, just eating with their heads down. Gohan, who had originally wanted to watch their interaction, quickly lost interest, so he took cauliflower and left, leaving Broly and Kale alone. Gohan never expected that his 30-year-old self would be worrying about the lifelong affairs of 50-year-old Broly like a father. Just thinking about it made him laugh out loud. As for Paragus, who had regained his youthful body, he had been practicing hard over the past 2 years. But Gohan had to admit that Paragus' talent was indeed relatively poor. Even with guidance from Gohan, Trunks, and others, Paragus' combat power had not exceeded 20,000 in those 2 years. This proved that many things couldn't be achieved by hard work alone. What your talent doesn't allow is like going against nature. But Paragus never gave up. According to him, he was very satisfied with his current progress. After all, with a combat power of more than 10,000 in his time, he could indeed be regarded as a first-class scion on planet Vegeta. Caulifla asked Gohan, what is the state after Super Saiyan 2? Can you tell me about it? It had been many years since Caulifla first transformed into Super Saiyan 2. Additionally, with the training Gohan had once provided, she had made rapid progress. Recently, she had a vague feeling of a breakthrough but couldn't figure out how to achieve it. In her eyes, Gohan was far ahead in this area and was like a teacher to her, so she asked Gohan for advice. Gohan glanced at her and didn't hold anything back, saying, according to the normal evolutionary steps, Super Saiyan 2 is naturally followed by Super Saiyan 3, but it's also possible for some geniuses to develop other transformations. For example, there's a super enhanced version of Super Saiyan 2, and some evolved directly from Super Saiyan 2 to Super Saiyan 4. But you Saions on planet Sadala are different from the Saions in our universe. You Saions on planet Sadala are born without tails, so you should not be able to evolve into Super Saiyan 4. The key to Super Saiyan 4 evolution is the tail. But at the end of the day, basic combat power is the foundation. Theoretically speaking, as long as the basic combat power is strong enough, an ordinary Super Saiyan 1 can stand shoulder to shoulder with gods, such as Broly or Kale's transformation. But they are mutant Saions, after all, different from us. So I think the path you should take next is similar to what my father and Uncle Vegeta have done. Develop the form of Super Saiyan 2 to its limits, then try to break through to Super Saiyan 3. Of course, you can also try the form of Super Saiyan God. Caulifla asked curiously, Super Saiyan God? The one with blue hair like Goku and Vegeta? Gohan shook his head, no, that's a further transformation, Super Saiyan in the Super Saiyan God state. The so-called Super Saiyan God is a form achieved by a Saiyan with a righteous heart who absorbs the power of the hearts of 5 other righteous Saions and temporarily senses the realm of God. Just wait and see, I'll transform into Super Saiyan 3 and Super Saiyan God so you can experience them. In Gohan's eyes, Trunks was his first student. And Caulifla, Kale, and Kaba could be considered half-disciples. That wraps up this part of What If Reborn is Gohan in Future Timeline. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.